Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by our wonderful, wonderful returning guest, Faye Horton. Faye, I am so thrilled to have you back today because we're going to be talking about why outstanding customer service boosts sales, and we're going to be sharing proven methods to delight your customers. And for those, yeah, absolutely, Faye. And for those of you who have not tuned in with an episode with Faye before, Faye is a sales strategist who has worked in Medicare sales for more than 20 years. She owns a life insurance agency and helps people break barriers to create consistent residual income with Medicare and final expense sales. And she's also the author of 3 books, one of which is Customer Service Equals Customer Sales, which is perfect for today's show. Faye, welcome back.
Oh, thank you so much. I am just so happy to be able to come back again. Thank you for the invite. Thank you so much.
Well, we always have such fabulous conversations. And before we get started, for everybody who's tuning in for the first time, you know what? This is the perfect time to take that moment and click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, just scroll down and hit all 5 stars for your review. We truly, truly appreciate it. All right, let's dive into this really great conversation. And, you know, Faye, you and I have talked about this before the show started. There's so many statistics around customer service, and our audience may not know them. So I'm going to just hit 3. And pardon me if I read my little notes here. 90% of customers use service as part of their decision. I know I do. 78% of customers have backed out of a purchase due to a poor experience. Absolutely. Once again, I've been there, done that. Okay, 17% will buy more if the customer service is good. And I mean, gosh, I'm hitting all 3 cylinders here, Faye, because that's me as well. So, Faye, here's the question. How can sales leaders and business owners focus on the customer experience to grow their business?
Well, Lynn, for me, I think that's pretty simple. And the simplest part about the whole thing is follow the patterns of the large companies. Amazon, as an example, is built on customer service. If no one ever thought about delivering anything you need, I can order something at 10 o'clock at night and I have it the next day. And that's customer service. And I've only had one poor experience, and that's where the delivery man, instead of opening the gate and coming in to put my package, he threw it over the fence. But I reported it, and Amazon sent me a letter of apology, wanted to make sure everything that I got in that package was there. I mean, I've never had any problems. That's customer service. When you can get what you need, when you need it, and at a, real quick, so you don't forget about it. Because sometimes you can order something and you forget about it. But this also extends to face-to-face customer service, not just ordering on Amazon. The simplest little thing that someone does to think about the customer first and the customer's experience is what's going to endear that customer. Another example, I like Chick-fil-A. There's one Chick-fil-A that I will not drive through because the customer experience that I received was not the same. In all of the others, you get your napkins, you get your straw, you get everything that you need, and you're asked, do you have everything that you need before you leave? Who wants to go through the drive-through and then drive off and you don't have what you want?
Yeah.
So it's the detail that they really spend to recognizing that the customer is king or queen. The
Yeah.
customer is the one who is going to, as you said in your statistics, either come back or never buy again. And when you have those great customer experiences, the customer is definitely going to return. And that's the place that the customer is going to tell everyone else about as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And to that point, I mean, I didn't put that statistic in there, but when you're looking at, 9 out of 10 clients, they're more likely to post like a bad review if they have a bad experience than the one person who will post a good review if they had a good experience. So that's
Right.
another thing to remember, so that you've got to be very aware of that. And from a B2B perspective, I think what I would add in is it's important to map your customer experience. Really from the time they first reach you and how, so if they're phoning in, that either if a real person can't answer the phone, they get to an automated system that they can easily navigate and get a call back or get the information they need. If it just rings and rings and rings, they're probably not going to call again. They're going to hang up and find somebody else. So that's, I mean, part of that, but all the way through. And then you can see where there are gaps, where there's pain points, where things are going really well that you might be able to replicate. And another thing from a customer perspective, when you're thinking about the customer experience, is you've always got to think about what's going on in the customer's mind. What's their why? Why are they doing what they're doing right now? What do they need, want, or lack? How is it going to benefit them so they can? So what I was just talking about, like when they first phone in or they first go to your website, they need to be able to easily navigate it because they're looking for information or they're trying, so you've got to make that there no friction, easy. So, and then another thing, yeah. And the final thing I'm going to suggest, and this goes regardless of what type of business, these suggestions as well, but think about everything that could potentially go wrong. So you just gave us great example of you're going through the drive-through. They don't give you napkins. They don't give you a straw. I have a situation with a different with Panera. When I go through their drive-through, I don't always get the right order. I don't get, like you're supposed to get your apple, with the thing, or and so I have taken to I will not leave my booth, until I looked in the bag, because and make sure everything is there and it's the right items.
Right.
Because I've had this, happen, but I like Panera, and that's the Panera drive-through that's convenient, right?
I know.
Here's the thing. They could easily map okay, so have the person who's about to hand you the bag, quick check. Is it the right items in the bag? Are there napkins in the bag? Are there a straw in the bag? And then they could even, as they're handing it to you, just say, and reaffirm that. We've got napkins in your straw or in your bag, and I checked. We've got your order that you've placed, your barbecue chicken salad and your tuna salad sandwich. So they're both in here, and your sides that came with. And that way the consumer also knows, oh, great, they remembered they know what my order was, and they've got the right things in the bag, and you can drive off with confidence. But when you anticipate anywhere within your system where things can break down. So let's say somebody goes through the drive-through and they don't get their stuff, and they come back they park and they come in, they stand in line, and at that point they're really angry. Like, okay, I have my food, but I don't have napkins, I don't have a straw, I'm really frustrated. So not only do you apologize, bring the manager over to apologize, but you provide them with, what kind of treats could we give you? Can we give you a dozen bagels? Can we give you like a pastry tray of your choice? I mean, what can we do? Can we give you remember in the old days, if Starbucks messed up your drink, they gave you a Starbuck for a free drink, right? And so that immediately addresses, like, okay, they care enough that they want to try to make good on it. But it's that first thing is the genuine desire to make it right for the, make it right, don't fight.
And
With the
man,
client.
it doesn't matter if it's consumer service, business to consumer, or business to business.
Yep.
The key is it boils down to training the individual. It has to be a philosophy of the company
Yeah.
that customer service is important. It has to be important from the person who opens the door to the person who cooks the food or the person who delivers this order or whatever you do within that company. It has to be a part of that company's mission that everyone will recognize that the customer is the most important thing. If you don't have the customer, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a business. So every customer, no matter what shape, size, or whatever, what their order might be, needs to be treated with respect as a customer. And I think that's the example that we see from the larger corporations, because they spend a lot of time and a lot of training, a lot of effort in training the employees. And within my book, there's a story of the Nordstrom story. And I think you've read it. I mean,
Yes.
it's just, this gentleman bought tires for an automobile. Now, everybody who knows Nordstrom's knows that Nordstrom's does not sell automobile tires. He bought them from a store that was located in the location where, when he went back, it was now a Nordstrom store. So in his mind, I picked them up here, so I'm bringing them back here. And Nordstrom's policy, because it's never to refuse a customer, they accepted the tires and gave the man a full refund, even though they couldn't put it on their shelf. It couldn't become a part of their inventory. But I'm willing to bet you he went and told somebody, that store down the street. He doesn't even know what the store is now. But he has said to someone, if you go in that store and you have a problem, they're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
That's what is really good customer service. And it has to come from top down and from down up. Every individual has to have that same concept of satisfying the customer.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that story is, an oldie at this point, 1975, right?
Yeah.
But I think it brings back the old adage that a satisfied customer means a repeat customer. And I believe that it's more true today than ever before. What about you, Faye?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And to make sure that your customer is satisfied, if you're the provider, you're the purveyor of the service, don't be afraid to ask. And don't be afraid to get the answer. If the customer is not satisfied, you need to know.
Yeah.
Don't let it fester into this huge thing that gets out of hand and then you lose the customer entirely. I'll give you an example for that. I had a customer who, when we were looking at the plans for Medicare, there were 3 options. Well, she chose a certain option because she knew that she would be traveling, and that was the one that would allow her to use the national network. So in the course of going over the benefits within one of the programs, there was a benefit that was offered. So in the confusion of, which plan did she take and which plan we reviewed, she thought that her plan included this particular benefit. So I said, let me look into it. I had no idea what the problem was. I didn't make a judgment about what she was saying, but when she said she called and they told her she didn't have it, I said, let me look into it. So then I realized what happened, the one that she chose. So when I called her back, and her daughter was on the phone with her, because by now, they're really upset. And they probably think that I did something wrong. But I said, this is the plan that you chose, and this is the reason that you chose. And in this particular plan, that benefit isn't there. And you have to be able to explain to people why certain things happen, because nothing's perfect in this world. But it was the service of one answering her call, responding right away, getting an answer right away, and then explaining to her. And she goes, oh, that's right. Now I remember.
Yeah.
So
No.
she was not
Yeah.
upset anymore. The daughter
Yeah.
was very upset because she thought that her mother was not getting something.
Yeah.
The daughter now, who wasn't in on the initial conversation, understood what the issue was. So you have to be able to respond, ask the question, stay in close communication with your customers. If you're doing the kind of business where you're not face to face all the time and you have an opportunity to communicate with them by text or email, say hi, send a birthday card, do something that will keep you in the face of the customer, and the customer feels like you really, really care about them.
Absolutely. I mean, you just, really picked up on two big things. One is customer recovery and over communicating there, you know, and once again, that make it right, don't fight. But the other
Right,
thing you really touched up on was really having that worthy intent where you genuinely are interested in the client as another human being. So in that case, doing those extra things, sending them a happy birthday, or it can be all kinds of different things that you can do that show the client that you're thinking about them, but you're not expecting or wanting anything in return, but you're just delivering some value to them. So let's talk about this, because we're sort of segueing into that. That it's less expensive to retain a customer than to attract a new customer. And I've got some stats here from a study by Invesp. There we go. And they found that investing in new customers is between 5 and 25 times more expensive than retaining existing ones. And so let's talk about some of the customer service factors that impact retention.
Being aware of who your customer is. Now, you could have hundreds or you could have thousands of customers, so you don't know them all personally. However, if you're at that level, you have a staff who can send communications and be in touch. It's that personal touch. It's just that little personal touch. If it's nothing but we have some companies that are financial advisors that my husband and I work with. They don't know us personally. They don't, talk to us periodically. We don't socialize, but we get a birthday card and we always get a holiday card. So at least they know that we're still here. I mean, that might be the way that you find out that your customer is not there if you're sending, information. But one of the ways to retain business is to be aware that your customer is still there. Follow the numbers. If yesterday you had 600 customers and today you have 599, you're not expected to call the 599, but you should find out who that one is that left and what was their reason for leaving. So one of the ways that I believe is good in customer retention is be proactive first, but then should there be a problem, follow up. Try to get the individual to tell you why they left your services to use someone else. What is the difference? What is it that you're not doing? Or what is it that you can do better? And as business owners, we have to take on ourselves the full responsibility of knowing when to say, is it something that I did? Is it something that I said? How can I make this better?
Yeah.
And we do those analyses all the time, and they're important to customer retention.
Yeah. No, and some of those things are, you can do a lot of different things. You can actually rotate through your entire client base, like biannually, so that you're reaching out to connect with them. And it may be that you just want to have, you set up a 5-minute coffee just to make sure that they've got everything they need. You have some specific questions that you can ask them that they can quickly answer, but are beyond a yes or no answer, where you can try to elicit some information, letting them know there could be something new that you are aware of, but trying not to turn them into a sales call, but instead turn it into, this new service is available in town. We don't sell it, of course, but I wanted you to be aware of it and you might be interested. And this is the information, because then it's not like you're, once again, try to avoid selling them something, but you may also say, well, this could be of value to you. We watched this YouTube video on insurance and you may be interested because it has a lot of information, whatever that is. So that's one thing. Another really important thing on a B2B environment is to do quarterly business reviews. And once again, these don't have to be quarterly. Definitely recommend biannually, but where you basically get together with your clients, you set up a meeting, you go over what you've accomplished in the last, either quarter or half of the year, where you're at right now in progress, and also what's coming up in the future. And then half the conversation should be about the future. And you're also looking at what's going on in their world. What new initiatives they may have, projects, goals that they're setting as an organization. And this is also an opportunity for you to bring the core decision makers back in to this meeting, so that within an hour, it reinforces why they're working with you in the first place and the value that you deliver. But you may well find out about some new projects that you can get in on the ground floor. And so this really goes right into my next question comment. Increasing retention by 5% is going to increase your profits up to 95%. Now, this is through referral business and repeat sales. So in my case, when I was explaining the QBR, this is through new business that you can acquire from existing clients. So, and that's one example. And Faye, what are some examples that you have of how sales professionals and businesses can tap into this colossal opportunity?
Obviously, we've already covered the fact that it is less costly to keep a customer than to get a new customer, although everybody wants new growth. And new growth is necessary. So we understand that we have to do that new growth. But then once we get that customer, if they're coming in one door and out another door, it doesn't help the bottom line at all. It does not help the business. So some of the ways that I would suggest for someone to retain those customers and be in touch with them, increase their profit margin is, as you said, if you're staying in touch with them quarterly, biannually, however often, there will always be that opportunity. And here's where you have to keep your eyes open and your ears open to listen for those little things. And as you're taking notes, it may be that and I'm sorry, but I'm good at examples.
Yeah,
It
no,
may
that's great.
be that they're planning in a financial situation. They may be planning a wedding in 6 months or a year. So now that means new members are coming into this family. That means that those are going to be potential customers for you.
Right.
You might make a note of those kinds of things. Or they may be grandparents and they're going to have new grandbaby. Here's an opportunity for us who do life and health. We have someone else that we can offer life insurance to. But picking up on the little things that you gather when you're talking to those customers, first of all, making sure that they're satisfied
Right.
and that whatever issues they have, help them to solve them, iron them out.
Yeah,
Most people
absolutely.
are most people are realistically enough to know that everything is not going to run the way they think it runs. But be able to clarify, be able to explain, be able to do whatever is necessary to make that customer happy. And then that customer is going to tell someone else. That customer is
Yeah.
going to refer other people to you. So you're going to get additional sales from referral sales, but you're also going to get additional sales from that same customer who's going to repeat buy and repeat
Yeah.
buy and then repeat buy. They're always going to come back to you to buy whatever it is that you have. So
Right.
those are the two things that's going to increase your bottom line by keeping that one customer happy.
Absolutely. That is so well said, Faye. So, as we wrap up today, what strategies do you recommend to improve the customer experience and strengthen your customer service?
I would suggest that find the medium that best fits your customer, whether it be email, whether it be text message, whether it be telephone, whether it be letter. Find the media that best fits your customer. That might be a question you should ask of your customers. How best do you like, how would you like me to communicate with you? I like to stay in touch. Once you know that and you have that note about that individual, put it in the database so that you know this is an individual that, in my case, a lot of the people that I work with do not have emails.
Right.
So I know I need to call them. When I send a blanket email to all the other customers, there are those ones that are starred who don't have an email, and they are so happy to hear from me. And one good opportunity I had to do that, to stay in touch with them, was during COVID, because they were not receiving the information that others were receiving in emails.
Right.
They, of course, watch television and listen, but personally, that's not directed to them. So that for personal phone call made a real big difference. So know your customer, know how best to communicate to that customer. If your customer is a late sleeper, don't call them at 9 o'clock in the morning. Call them.
At 10 or something. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Just be aware of your customer. And I think that's what makes the customer service experience so great. How you're able to really, really capture what that individual wants. And sometimes you may be a little bit off, but if you keep trying, keep working at it, you and that customer will come together, and that will be your customer for a long, long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I would add to that is to stay abreast also of as things transition and change. Just that example of, email as, time changes, people become either more likely or less likely to even look at their emails. Phone calls can come. There's just so many different things just to be aware of what that preference could be. But my big points, I'm going to go back to my suggestion, is really understanding your client journey and mapping that from the time that initial spark of however they find you, whether it's they find you on a website or they listen to you on a podcast, to when they've become a client, I'm really looking at that and what's going on with them. That's the second thing, is their why, the client why through the various stages of their experience with your organization, with your business. And then finally, putting together a recovery plan. So that means everything that you can anticipate going wrong, like not putting the napkins and straws in the takeout bag as you go through the drive-through. How can you mitigate that and try to eliminate that, as much as possible? And then if it does happen, how will you respond?
Right.
So that it's scripted, so all your team members know how to respond, because that gives them confidence to respond. And you can ensure that great customer experience, because when your entire team is involved and they understand how important the customer experience is to the business, to their livelihood, and
Yes.
to the community, then it's a lot easier for them to really just lean in and get very engaged in that.
Actually, Lynn, excuse me for interrupting, but
No, that's great.
The person who is actually being the server will find that their jobs are much easier when they're able to please the customer.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a
A lot
happy
less stress.
customer, yes, you won't need have those stressful days when people are yelling and screaming at you for something that may not even be your fault,
Yeah.
So just having that throughout the entire organization, that kind of what's the word I'm looking for, Lynn?
Mindset. Yeah. That attitude.
Mindset,
Yeah.
and that mission, that everybody in the organization looks at the customer as being first.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Faye, this has been such a wonderful conversation again. Thank you so much for sharing the truth about why outstanding customer service boosts sales. And I know our listeners are going to want to know how and where they can find out more about you.
Well, my website is I Sell Medicare Plans. I have a Facebook group of insurance professionals. I Sell Medicare Plans. And my email is Faye, Faye, Horton, the number 9 at isellmedicareplans.com.
All right, this is perfect. And for everybody who's listening, we're going to provide that in the backlinks below. And thank you so much for everyone who joined us today and on down the road. We really appreciate your listening and tuning in. If you have ideas that you'd like to share, we love hearing from you. You can leave us a comment. Or if you'd like to share some ideas or have a topic for conversation, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And to stay current on all of our incredible episodes, like this one we just had with Faye, and all of our other resources that we provide, you can opt into our weekly Wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com, and you won't miss out on one fabulous thing. So, Faye, thank you for today.
You're
what
so
a wonderful
welcome.
show.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. And just so that your audience knows, we did not call about our wardrobes. But look, we did not coordinate this, but we did. So that's a sign that this is good.
Serendipity.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.